There we go. Good evening and welcome, Mizzou fans, to the post-game drink presented by Boulevard Brewing Company for the first time this year. Mizzou a 34-24 winner over Central Michigan in the season opener. That, of course, means Mizzou is 1-0. Before we get to the specifics of the game, I want to remind you this is being brought to you tonight and every night by the Boulevard Brewing Company in Kansas City, Missouri. Look, I've done a lot of free advertising for all of Boulevard's fine products over the years before we came to an agreement where it was less free to do. But they do have excellent products, a lot of good beers you guys can get. But also, now they have Quark cocktails. They are these, the seltzers, all that type of stuff is kind of sweeping the landscape. Boulevard's Quark cocktails have some actual real fruit juice in them. So give those a shot next time you're at the store. Also, go ahead and pick up some Space Camper, some Tank 7, whatever it is, because that stuff is always good. But Boulevard, always reliable. Mizzou, in the end, look, I don't know what your guys' feelings are. I haven't gotten there yet. We're going to take a look at some of the comments. We're going to open up the phone lines in just a minute. I'll put the number on the screen. It's not there yet. This is what we told you was going to happen. It was going to be closer than you wanted it to be at halftime. Missouri was going to stretch it out to like a 2-score lead. I think Mitchell picked Missouri to win 37-21 this morning, and I picked them to win 33-20. That's pretty close, right? They didn't quite cover. They didn't look perfect, but it's game one against a team that is good enough on the right day to beat Missouri. And we're going to get into this, I'm sure, throughout the show. But here is my major takeaway from this. And we have said this all offseason long. Missouri fans aren't used to recruiting this way. So because of the recruiting and because the coach is really good at social media and really good at PR, everybody's super excited. And they let that maybe impact the view of the season a little bit and got out a little over their skis, starting to talk about, hey, anything less than 8 wins is a disappointment. That's not true. 9-3 should happen. That's not true. Challenge second place in the East. That's probably not true. Look, guys, this is, and if you catch the coaches in an honest moment where they don't have a media microphone in front of them, if you're just having a conversation, because I've heard Eli Drinkwitz say this, it is going to be a process. This is not going to happen overnight. I think this program is 8-4 possible this year? Absolutely. But 7-5 is not a disappointment. 6-6 is not a disaster. I think they're a year away from being close to where they want to be. I think they're 2 years away from being maybe actually where they want to be. Because to be where you want to be, you've got to stack 3 and 4 recruiting classes like this on top of each other. So 34-24, just reading, and look, I will admit, basing things off a message board and Twitter is very dangerous. Maybe the comments here, maybe the general fan base is a little more realistic here. But what I was reading all day was shock and dismay that this was a tie game and that it was a 10-point win. And I just I'm not going to agree with that. This is pretty much the game I expected. There are some issues to be ironed out. There's no question. The offensive line, I'm not sure about, right? I don't think Tyler Beatty can take 25 carries every game. Linebacker position, I've had some questions about. They're going to be better in week 7 than they are in week 1. But overall, I got no real qualms about today. I think maybe it was a reality check for the segment of the fan base that has gotten a little ahead of itself and sped up the timetable here for what is I didn't see anything different than what I expected to see, to be quite honest. That was the surprise to me would have been had Missouri come out and just blitz Central Michigan right off the field. That would have surprised me. There's no question. I want to get to a couple of your guys' questions before we do open up the phone lines. And Ostock asked one that I do a TV show with Dave Matter every week and Bo Bayman, and we actually addressed this question. We said, I hope I don't see anybody after week one ask if Missouri didn't empty the playbook because it was week one. Look, they ran a flea flicker. They threw a 70-yard pass on the first play of the game. They were running jet sweeps. They were blitzing all day. That was the team. This was not, let's hold back because we can beat Central Michigan by holding back. Missouri isn't good enough to just kind of hold back and run a vanilla game. There is really absolutely no question. All right, well, I hope, are we back, guys? I got people telling me that we're dropped, and I don't really know why. I hope the show is still on. I need a comment to tell me if we're back. Somebody says it's dropped out for a minute. So just if somebody can drop in the comments, yeah, hey, I'm watching you, that'd be great. Because I've got comments saying that something has happened and we are dropped out. I don't really know what that would be. So I'm going to have to okay, we're here. Good to know. Thanks, Colin. Appreciate it. Okay, anyway, we're back. But no, Missouri did not go vanilla. Missouri did not say we can roll out the ball and win this game. I don't know what you guys saw that would indicate that, but to me, that was the Missouri playbook. You're going to see it. That was the game that you're going to get next. And not that there's not going to be wrinkles, not that nothing's going to change, but that's the team, right? You didn't see like an effort out of a coach that thought, hey, my team's good enough to go win this game with just kind of a B effort or a C effort. Now, that may have ultimately been a B or a C effort, but I'm just saying as far as emptying the playbook, as far as putting it all out there, no, they absolutely, I think, put out everything that they have. So what we're going to do now, I am going to go ahead and open up the phone lines to you guys, and there's plenty of comments and all that, and we will certainly go through them. But if you want to call, all you got to do is that number, 573-234-4935. And we learned doing this last year that there are going to be times that there are simply too many calls. We're going to have to hang up on some people. Some people are going to drop. It's just sometimes if we get 5 and 6 people calling it at a time, it just happens. Sometimes you're going to have to hold. The way we do it, I will call out your area code when I answer your call. So that's to avoid having 4 or 5 people talking at the same time. Once I grab you, I'll say, hey, 573 area code, who is this? Go ahead, and we'll take your calls. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to let you guys know that the first caller to this show, if you email me when you're done at powermizzou@gmail.com for being the first caller to our postgame show this year, I'm going to hook you up with 3 free months on Power Mizzou for the very first call, and that is coming in right now. And the first call of the season is from the 314 area code. Who am I talking with?
Hey, Dave, it's Tyler.
Hey, Tyler, how you doing, man?
Good to be on. Good to be the first one of the year. I just wanted to start off, I guess, by saying my overall reaction was I think this team is about how a lot of us still expected. I mean, nothing today really changed out of a 7-5, 8-4 team. I mean, there's things that you like. There's a couple of early explosive plays early on. There was some receivers that got open, deep and a couple of those honestly missed where this could have been, Missouri covering in a little bit of a different game. Mm-hmm. But then there's also some things with the defense in the first half. Blaze Aldridge, I thought, looked out of sorts in the first half and really stepped it up in the second half. But my just takeaway to start was this team is about where I thought. I don't think 8-4 is off the table. Right. 9-3 would still surprise me. 7-5 would be about fine, and 6-6 I think would be on the lower end.
Totally agree, and that's why I said maybe by reading Twitter and message boards, I am getting a slanted view of what people think. I think your call's exactly right. Your call's exactly how I feel. 8-4, 7-5. That's the sweet spot for this team. 9-3 is not impossible, but 7-5 is more likely than 9-3. 6-6 would leave you feeling a little disappointed, but it wouldn't necessarily be a disaster. Look, they're going to be underdogs against Kentucky and Boston College. Now, I think people will be disappointed if they lose both those games, but they're going to be underdogs in both of them.
Yeah, I think if you can split both of those, that gets you into the 8-4 range, right? And so that's kind of the goal right now, is try and go win one of those on the road.
Totally agree. And I think, Tyler, I'm not sure you belong on an internet call-in show. That's a very level-headed view of the season, man.
I was on the message boards worried about Blaze Aldridge the first half, so I will hands up admit that.
And I understand that. And look, the linebacker, I think it's a concern now. Aldridge he put up great stats. I'm not smart enough to tell you if Blaze Aldridge played a great game or he happened to be the beneficiary of being in the right spot, but 6 tackles for loss and 3.5 sacks is look, those are not numbers that happen a lot for anybody. So I think impressive second half at the least. But Tyler, appreciate you being the first one, man. And
I'll have one question.
Yeah.
One question to leave you on, then, and I'll hang up. Who do you see as the corner starting next week, kind of after today? I'll hang up and listen. Thank you.
Okay. Hey, Tyler, email me at powermizzou@gmail.com for being the first caller. You are going to get 3 free months. And I've got the 815 area code on the phone. I will get to you in a minute, caller, but I want to answer Tyler's question first. And he asked who the starting cornerbacks would be next week. I think you've got to start at Caleb Evans. I think he put together a heck of a day today. I liked what he did. And then I think that Chris Abrams-Drain certainly earned a spot in the starting lineup. In the slot, I think he's got to be your guy. And then the third one, Ennis Rakestraw had a rough first half, but if he's healthy, I think he's probably the third guy. So I'd go Rakestraw, Abrams-Drain, and a Caleb Evans. All right, I got the 815 area code on the line. Who am I talking to?
Hey, it's Ron.
Hey, Ron, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing all right, man. It's good to be back. I really enjoyed these last years, so happy to be talking to you once again.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Same.
Yep. So I actually was pretty impressed with the day overall. I think there were certainly some frustrating moments, of course, but especially in that second half, after halftime, I really didn't have any doubt about the game, and it was kind of a anticlimactic way to end it, just kind of taking care of business. And for all we know, Central Michigan could actually be a pretty good team with some guys who end up having really good college careers. So, my opinion on the team doesn't change whatsoever after this one. Next week, if Kentucky's still a toss-up, they can win that game, or they can lose that game. But it doesn't really change anything after today.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible Central Michigan ends up good. I think Central Michigan is probably about what we think they are, which is, a 7-5-ish, 8-4-ish MAC team, which is not bad. But yeah, I didn't see – there was never really a moment once Missouri went up 24-14 where I felt like that game was in danger of slipping away. I mean, it got – it was a one-score game for a little bit, but then Missouri pretty easily responded every time Central Michigan made it a one-score game. So I agree, man. Just, I don't see how anything changed your mind really, but there is nothing as beautiful as the overreaction to the first half of a season. So.
No, exactly. And just the one thing I close on – I think you got standout performances from, your better players. I thought Baszler had a really good game. Nice to see a Caleb Evans come in and make a few plays. In his first game here, same goes for Blaze Aldridge. But Tyler Beatty, he's clearly the best player, and happy to see him get rolling. So, anyway, I'm happy with the start. I'll talk to you again next week.
All right, appreciate it, Ron. And, yeah, my take of Elijah Young could lead this team in carries on the pregame show looks pretty stupid because pretty nice effort from Tyler Beatty today. Let's jump now to the 618 area code. You still hanging with us?
Hey, Gabe, it's Travis in Southern Illinois.
What's up, Travis? How you doing, man? Good to talk to you.
Hey, I was just thinking, I'm not trying to overreact, but if you're struggling on the O-line and D-line, I know the O-line played a little better in the second half, so that could be a recipe for disaster in the SEC. And then my second question is, to me, Rick Straw was really struggling today, and I was wondering how he graded out last year, because it looked like he had a rough day today, and I noticed a few times last year he seemed like he was struggling, and I'll just get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I don't remember like the PFF grades, and which I take with a grain of salt anyway, and I'm not sure how the coaches graded him out, but basically in talking not only to the coaches but in talking to Ennis, the opinion of last year was he can be a lot better. It was decent for a true freshman in the SEC, but like they want to see a lot of growth. If that's the player he is as a junior or senior, it's not good enough. Now, I agree with you. I mean, he was the one that got beat on Central Michigan's first play of the game, the long pass, or one of the first plays of the game on their first drive. And I thought he had a pretty rough first half. I thought the secondary looked a lot better in the second half. Caleb Evans made some plays in there. Chris Abrams-Drain, I thought, made a lot of plays. Rakestraw was, I don't want to say made a play, because that's not fair on that trick play they tried with Pimpleton toward the end, the wide receiver throwing the ball. Rakestraw was there. The pass wasn't ever going to be completed because it was out of bounds, but that was the one he ended up getting hurt on. He was okay today. I think you want to see better. I thought Abrams-Drain and Evans were both better than him, certainly in the secondary, but I think he's at least, hey, you're not benching him after 1 week, but I think you want to see more. I don't think he's yet clearly a number one corner in this league or anything.
All right, thanks, Gabe.
Yep, appreciate it, Travis. Thanks for the call, man. And also the other point Travis made about the lines of scrimmage. Look, that's all fair. You do worry a little bit if you are getting dominated up front by a MAC team. I mean, there's really no way around. Line did. I think more of it is probably Tyler Beatty, who I feel like had a heck of a day. The offensive line, I'll say what I said coming in. It was, to me, the biggest question of this whole thing, right? And the fact of the matter is that Missouri has more guys this season in the offensive line, or on the offensive line, I should say, but it doesn't really still have like the standout players. I mean, I think you're in a position, and I'm going to move the camera for a minute because I got to find something. So I think you're in a position where what you're really looking at is that we're confusing depth with being good enough. Like, yes, Missouri has bodies, right? But this is weird. I don't know why you guys are saying that it's dropping out. I'm not sure what's happening there. Oh, I know exactly what happened. Okay, when I went to the stats screen, I had my microphone muted, so that is my fault. My error, there's going to be a couple minutes of dead air there. So I appreciate you guys pointing that out. Again, I'm a one-man production crew. But back to the offensive line, and I really think this is happening a little bit with the entire roster. People are seeing that there are more bodies. There are more bodies capable of playing, right? You've got 8 or 9 guys capable of playing in the SEC on the offensive line. And that's a positive. Don't get me wrong. You want 9 or 10 guys capable of playing in the SEC. But this team doesn't have an all-SEC offensive lineman on it. I mean, I can tell you that today. And so, yeah, you have 8 or 9 capable guys, but you need 1 or 2 that are like up here, man. And I think that's where Missouri's missing. And if you look at And it's understandable. It's year 1.5, realistically. But if you look at the all-SEC teams, you're talking about Missouri didn't have, I think, anybody on the first team all-SEC team by the coaches. Had a guy or two on the second team and a guy or two on the third team. And that's kind of representative, right? They have players and they have some decent depth, but you need stars to win, right? You've got to have those guys that elevate everybody else from being good players to very good players. And this is, look, yes, this is what I'm trying to say. Mizzou needs more dudes. Like, I watched Ohio State play the other night. And I'm not trying to compare Missouri to Ohio State. We know that's not the same league right now. But, I mean, I'm looking at Ohio State's defensive tackles, and they look like just supersized linebackers, right? That's the kind of shape there. And these are like 6'4", 310-pound dudes that, like, don't have an ounce of fat. And that's why they are what they are. Again, I know Missouri's not there yet, right? And may never be there. But my point is you need some stars. And Missouri has some, right? They have some very good players. And maybe Tyler Beatty becomes a star. He was absolutely a star today. But if you look across the SEC and think, hey, who are my top 5 running backs? I don't think anybody's putting Tyler Beatty there. If you look across the SEC and say, who are my top 5 wide receivers? I'm pretty sure you're not mentioning a Missouri guy right now. Same on the offensive line. Defensive line, you might talk a little bit about Jeff Coat and Whiteside, maybe. Linebacker, certainly not. Defensive back, maybe Martez Manuel gets in that discussion of like the top 10. But that's the point, right? And that's where I'm saying this thing is a process and they are not there yet. I remember saying years ago, and we'll get back to this in a minute, but I'm going to get to the phone line and go to the 636 area code. Who's on the phone with me?
Hey, Gabe. It's Rob from St. Louis.
What's up, Rob? How you doing, man?
Hey, good. After the season opening win, I'd say Mizzou's probably in the 7-5, 8-4 range for the season, maybe 6-6 or 9-3 maybe, but I mean it's kind of hard to predict. But
right.
After week 1, but what bowl game? I mean, if they get to a bowl, do you think they would probably get?
Man. I mean, there's so much, right? Like, we're going to assume they're an 8-4, 7-5 type team. So I'm assuming that's like in the neighborhood of whatever they would have been in last year, which is like the Music City Bowl, something along those lines. Now, I don't know that they would they very well may be picked by the Music City Bowl again just because they didn't play in it last year. But whatever bowl games fall kind of right around there. I mean, you're not talking about like the Peach Bowl, but the Gator Bowl is kind of in that, or Tax Slayer Bowl, I guess it's called, is kind of in that discussion. That tends to be a little higher in the pecking order. But yeah, somewhere around there.
And yeah, like it's a Big Ten team or something like that, or an ACC team.
Yeah, that's what most of the SEC tie-ins are.
And I know this is a football post-game show, but do you have? One quick basketball question for you, but what do you think Mizzou's chances are on Aiden Shaw?
We'll address that real quick. Aiden Shaw is announcing a commitment on September 17th. We've heard reasons to be optimistic. We'll see. Obviously, KU's in the Final 3. I think Oklahoma State's in the Final 3. But, we think Missouri has a pretty good chance. But by no means are we ready to say, hey, yeah, we're sure it's happening. So that's kind of where we're at on Aiden Shaw.
All right, thanks, you.
All right, Rob. Thanks for the call, man. Appreciate it. And yeah, the phone lines are now open again. Hopefully the number's still up there. There's the number, 573-234-4935. Look, it's the season opener. If you're driving home, give us a call. Whatever you guys want to talk about, we'd like to. We're going to hang out here till whenever you guys are done. And I know that wasn't the most, scintillating opponent, all that. But hey, it's the first game in a while. Let's talk a little bit about atmosphere. Early on, there were a couple of just pre-kickoff screen or photos tweeted out that made you go, whew, this is not good, right? I mean, I was thinking like 35,000. And then it started to fill in. And I think that did have something to do with, people were saying traffic was slow coming out of St. Louis on I-70. I think maybe there was some stuff as far as getting into the game that was a little tougher than usual. So, it ended up filling in okay. Not blown away, but a decent crowd on hand. Back to the phone lines, the 314. Who's on the phone now?
Hey, Gabe, this is Scott. How you doing?
Not bad. What's up, Scott? How are you, man?
So I was kind of a little dejected the first half or so of the game. I thought the offense and the defensive lines looked terrible.
Yeah.
And that's I guess what my big concern is moving forward. In the SEC, you have to have dominant lines. Where do you see us at on offense and defensive line? And I'll hang up. Thanks, Gabe.
Okay, Scott, appreciate the call, man. And yeah, I do feel like I need to remind everybody, and will need to remind everybody a number of times this season, you got to remember the game's 60 minutes long. I was zero surprised that this was a tie game at halftime. Not at all surprised, because it's week one. These kids haven't played in 10 months. They haven't played in front of a crowd for almost 2 years. A lot of these guys have never played. Not shocked that it was tied at halftime. The lines, so I didn't really see anything that changed my mind. Like, are they going to be in trouble against A&M, Georgia, and Florida? 100%. Probably going to struggle on the offensive line in those games. But I knew that already. Like, I didn't learn that today. Kentucky, look, that's going to be a battle. I'm going to guess Kentucky's about a 6 or a 7 point favorite in that game. Haven't seen a line yet. Won't be out yet. But I'm going to guess Kentucky's a 6 or a 7 point favorite. And T-Rise is correcting me. They weren't tied at halftime. You're right. It was 17-14 Missouri. Very close game. I forgot about the Mevis field goal right before halftime. So 17-14 at halftime. But the offensive line, yeah, it's a little bit of a concern. The defensive line looked obviously better in the second half, but the second half was more kind of what you'd think they'd be able to do against a MAC team. The first half was a bit concerning. And that defensive line is interesting to talk about because there was a lot of talk on our message board about it. Steve Wilkes said something in camp that he thought the defensive line would be the strength of the defense. And now a lot of people said, oh, great, D-Line Zoo is back. And I thought, but like, I've seen most of these guys, and they're okay. Trajan Jeffcoat, I think, is a really good player. Chris Turner, has been here a while, and he kind of is what he is. Kobe Whiteside coming back helps, but Akil Byers, Darius Robinson, I don't know. I haven't seen star out of any of these guys. So the defensive line talk caught me a little off guard, honestly, and I think the defensive line is closer to what I thought it was than what people hoped it was. Let's go to the 417 area code now. Who am I talking to?
Hey, Gabe, it's Stuart down here in Springfield. How are you doing, buddy?
Not bad, Stuart. What's going on, man?
Great to see the game and see the team play, but my concern with the lines, obviously, was really the linebackers. I know they picked it up in the second half, but it seemed that the ball was snapped, and Nicholson and Blazer would just stand there, wait for the tackle or the offensive guard to come on out, block him, and then by then the running back had 8 yards of steam, which is blow right by them. Is that, do you think, due more because we're playing more zone and, they're responsible for, over the middle, or is it just, we're used to having really great linebackers and maybe they're not there yet?
Yeah, I think, and I want to be perfectly clear and perfectly fair to those guys. I am not capable of watching a game and trying to do what I'm doing live and being able to break down, like, line play or linebacker play, right? Without going back and really focusing on those guys, Blaze Aldridge put up good numbers, so he obviously did some things right. But unless it's just glaringly obvious, like if I'm watching a game live, I don't want to say, hey, the linebackers were terrible. I did see a lot of criticism of them, and I think it's probably fair because Missouri was getting pushed around a little bit in the first half. I think it's probably a little bit more that we are used to holding Missouri linebackers to the Nick Bolton, Cale Garrett standard of the last couple years. And I just don't
100%.
I just don't think that's realistic. There was some talk. I remember seeing it because I was thinking, oh my God, this is insane. There was some talk on our board at one time. Well, Bolton was shaken up last year, and I think Blaze can replace him probably. I mean, that's a second-round pick that's going to start in the National Football League next week. Now,
Exactly.
he's starting because of an injury, but Nick Bolton, healthy, was one of the best players in the best defensive conference in college football, and Missouri didn't replace him. And I say the same thing about him that I've said about a number of other guys over the years, or about Devin Nicholson, the same thing I've said about a number of other guys. Was Devin Nicholson, is he a really good linebacker, or was he a good linebacker when he was next to Nick Bolton, who maybe when he's not next to Nick Bolton won't be quite as good? And I don't know that answer, but that's a point we've made. Remember a few years ago when Jordan Elliott went pro, and I can't even remember who the guy next to him was, and I said, well, is that guy good, or was he good because Jordan Elliott was there last year taking double teams? And, you find that answer out as the year goes along, but it's definitely a question I have about Devin Nicholson. And I haven't looked at the snap counts yet, but I'm going to guess that Aldridge and Nicholson played every single snap. I don't think another linebacker saw the field when I was watching. I don't know if you know that, if that's accurate or not.
It looked like they were, and my biggest concern really isn't, talent of our two guys now, but it looked like scheme-wise, D coordinator Wilkes just had them reacting rather than filling gaps like we're used to seeing us stuff to run with our line. Again, we can't compare Bolton, to Blaze. I mean, that's just not fair to Blaze. But scheme-wise, it just seemed like these guys were just waiting to get taken off, 4 yards off the line of scrimmage, and then, Central Michigan's running backs are just running right by them. It was maddening to me.
Yeah, like I said, I would have to go back and kind of focus on those guys. I mean, in the second half, they were blitzing a lot. I thought you saw Aldridge coming a few times, saw Sean Robinson coming, saw Martez come a couple times. So I think in the second half there were definitely some blitzes from the linebacker and safety positions. Again, I'm absolutely not saying you're wrong. I just don't feel qualified based on watching that game live and trying to keep track of a number of different things to say that, to criticize the defensive scheme quite yet. Also, I think we have to understand it's the first game under that defensive scheme. It's
100%.
It's probably going to look different. Maybe they haven't picked it all up yet.
In the SEC either. I'm not. So I'm way underqualified. I'd be interested to see your take on it after you do have time to watch it.
Yeah.
And I appreciate everything you're doing, Gabe.
All right, Stuart, thanks for the call, man. Good to talk to you. Appreciate that, and appreciate you guys calling in and watching. I want you to do a couple things while you are here. I want you to hit the like button. A lot of you have already done that. It helps more people know about the show. I want you to subscribe to the channel, because what that allows you to do is get alerts. You'll get a push alert when we go live. And the most important time is going to be post-game, right? I mean, we're going live within 5-10 minutes after this thing ended. So you'll know, hey, this show's about to start. If I'm walking in my car, if I'm driving home, maybe you're just sitting at home, next game's on. Maybe you're watching Georgia Clemson, cracked a beer open, want to listen to this on your phone. You'll get a push alert when we go live if you subscribe to the channel. And again, those things make us a little bit more visible. At the end, we're going to convert this thing to a podcast. When I do that, if you download that podcast, give it a 5-star review, give it a like. Again, just kind of pushes it out to more people, and gives us a chance to reach more Mizzou fans. Also want to thank take a minute right now to thank Boulevard for being our partner. I believe this is the third straight year. They've been a partner of ours. Second straight year, certainly, that they have sponsored the post-game show. Kind of fits in well. Eli Drinkwitz, the post-game drink, all that want to guide you not only to Boulevard's fine selection of beers that I've mentioned many times over the years, but also to their cork cocktails, which are now in stores. They do contain 10% fruit juice. And if that is your thing, if you like the seltzer, if you like the summery drink, it's still summer for a little bit. I believe 2 weeks technically, but it still has a chance to get up to 80, 90 degrees in Missouri. So grab yourself a cork before the next game for the tailgate, or at least grab them for maybe some of your friends. Maybe they don't like beer. Maybe they want something else. So check those out from Boulevard. You can get them in the grocery store. Boulevard products sold all over mid-Missouri. And Macadoodles, Hy-Vee, anywhere you go for your tailgate supplies. So phone line is, again, still open, 234-4935. I'm going to jump back to some of your questions that have made an appearance in the chat here in just a second. I am trying to currently find all of my windows that have disappeared there. I'm back. Now I know what I'm doing. So I just want to pop up a few things for you guys about the game. I'm sure these SEC scores are now a little bit outdated, but there's what I have right now. Let's jump back to the phone line. I got another caller from the 314. Who am I talking to?
Hey, Gabe. This is Craig.
Hey, Craig. How you doing, man? What's going on?
I'm good, dude. I'm good. Hey, it's good to have football back, right?
It is good. And there's people in the stands, and that's all very positive.
And I feel kind of bad because I used to have season tickets, and I dropped them. My kids kind of got into sports and stuff. And
I just want to say,
get up there.
I thought for sure you were going to say my kids kind of got in the way, and that was going to be a hell of a call. But
No, they kind of do that too, though.
Yeah. But go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you, man.
No, it's all right. Sorry, interrupt away, man. I got a lot to talk about, man. I've been saving for this call for a while.
Okay. So what's on your mind?
I was in Columbia in 1991. That's when I first started school.
Okay.
And I don't know when you were there. You were probably.
I was 94 to 98.
Okay, so you saw some pretty terrible football too.
A little bit, yep.
Maybe not. Maybe you were Larry Smith. Maybe he probably was back then.
My freshman year, my first game was Larry's first game at Missouri. So I saw a couple of really bad years and then a couple of pretty decent ones.
I had Bob Stoll.
Right.
That was my kind of beginning. It's pretty bad. First game at Perot under lights was Colorado. It was totally raining. I think we lost 6-3.
I remember that
day.
Yeah.
Well, the rest of my time there was pretty bad, and then I left, and then it got pretty good. But the season tickets, man, I was there for OU game day.
Mm-hmm.
The Cisse fake kick.
Yep.
Remember that against Nebraska?
2003 Nebraska. Yep.
Yeah. Henry Josie when he ran to seal the East against A&M. That was pretty cool.
Yes.
I don't remember if Johnny Manziel was on that field or not. I think he was.
He was.
Anyhow, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I went to both SEC championship games,
mm-hmm.
Auburn and then Alabama. And I also remember after one of the big wins, being at Murray's, and I saw Michael Sam, and I gave him a high five.
Okay.
It was a good time. But then I had to give up my season tickets. It got too busy, you know?
Yep.
And I thought about it this year. I really thought about it. I thought about it when they hired B.O., Barry Odom.
Yeah.
And I was excited for him, but back in my mind, I wondered if it would really work out, and it didn't, obviously.
Right.
But there was some promise there. Sadly, it didn't work out. I don't know what it was, but I think the game that he lost against Kentucky, that was so frustrating for me. That was when he lost me. And I was hoping it would work out, Mizzou guy coming back. But I don't know. Just didn't work out. And I got excited when I saw Drink get hired a little bit. I was like, who the heck is this guy? He's kind of brought a little bit of excitement, don't you think?
Absolutely. I mean, Missouri fans are very excited about this season, I think. I think everybody's jacked up. A lot of people first-time season ticket holders, I think.
Yeah, I looked at the photos, like you mentioned earlier, and the crowd looked pretty rough at first, but that might have had something to do with like the new scanning of the tickets and stuff. I hear. I know that it's been in the Cardinal games sometimes here in St. Louis.
Yeah, I think there were some people that said some of the processes getting in were a little bit rough, and look, it's understandable, right? It's the first time they've had that many people in a couple years. Like, there's going to be some hiccups. What kind of drives me nuts is the guy that has one bad experience. You know, they were out of the food I wanted, or the line was too long at the bathroom, and just says, "Well, this is terrible. This can never." Things happen sometimes, man. There's 47,000 people there. Sometimes it happens. I think you give it. Chalk it up. Hey, maybe it was a bad day. Maybe I'll go back next week. And if the same thing happens, then okay, maybe it's a trend and maybe I'm upset about it. But yeah, I think also apparently there was a big wreck on I-70 that kind of slowed some people getting in from St. Louis.
Oh, was there?
Yeah, hey, that's what I read on the internet. So if I read it on the internet, I know it's true.
Was everybody okay?
Yeah, I don't really know many details. I just know it backed up traffic for a long time is the extent of my knowledge.
I mean, I've owning season tickets for a long time. I would get stuck in traffic all the time out there. You just never know.
Yep.
You got to give yourself time, Gabe. You just can't,
Yeah.
expect to get there right before kickoff.
Craig, you're just teaching life lessons, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, man, I know. So I was thinking about doing season tickets this year, but because my kids are getting older. One's 16, the other's going to turn 13 tomorrow, and they're both girls. They're really not that interested in football.
Yeah.
But maybe me and the wife could come up there and leave them at home. But I decided not to. I decided to watch in my basement. Is that a bad thing?
No, I mean, I never tell anybody how to spend their money, right? I never would tell anybody how to spend their money. I mean, you can maybe a couple years your kids go to college. The 13-year-old will probably be a little bit longer, but maybe you can get it then. But hey, maybe you could just pick one game to come to instead of season tickets, right? Maybe you and your wife pick one game out and say, "Hey, we're going to jump up to Columbia for that one," and the girls can hang out. But they could come too. Like, they might not love football, but they could sit there for a couple hours. You could get some good food. You could check out campus, all that. So
you should hear the incessant whining and moaning if I did that, Gabe. I don't think you want to, ask my kids to be there with me for that.
Well, leave your kids at home then. They probably would not be disappointed for you to go to Columbia, and they probably say, I'd be cool with my dad leaving me for a couple hours. That'd be fine.
Hey, which game would you say would be the one to circle on the schedule to pick if I were to come to one?
I would go either Tennessee or Texas A&M. Tennessee's game 5. It'd be a good game. It'll be exciting. Game 5. Texas A&M 7th game of the year. A&M should be good. They should be in the top 10 when they come in. So that's on the 16th. I'd pick one of those two, though.
Gotcha. Florida's a little easier for you, think?
Yeah. I'd go one of the October games. So. All right, Craig, I got another call coming in, man. I appreciate the call.
Take care.
All right, have a good one. All right, we got the 573 area code on the phone. Who am I talking with?
Hey, this is Dave. Do you hear me?
What's up, Dave? I got you, man. Yeah.
Hey, good. So I'm not going to harp on really the attendance per se, but I feel like Mizzou's ceiling, at least in the short term, is probably Wisconsin. Watching their game and having the jump around with the stands full, not trying to harp on you, try to get people to where to spend money and such, but I guess just wondering what can we do to the game day atmosphere to get that sort of thing? Because I think Wisconsin is definitely an achievable goal in terms of where our program is in terms of support and in terms of continuing success.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what Wisconsin's atmosphere was like 25 years ago, right? But for example, I mean, when I was in college, Wisconsin was going to a Rose Bowl with Ron Dane, and then they've gone to a number of Rose Bowls since then. They've never been in a playoff. But I think that's fair that, when Gary Pinkel hit his ceiling here, he was on the verge of like a playoff team, right? Never quite got there, but he was close. And Wisconsin has been there been in that same position multiple times. Now, Wisconsin has sustained it longer than Missouri has. I don't really know what Wisconsin's atmosphere was like pre-Barry Alvarez. But that's kind of, I think Missouri fans point to like Wisconsin and Michigan State. Like these are programs that have kind of gotten to that level, and that's what we could do. And I don't think that's unreasonable. But this always becomes a question of, do people come because you have success, or do you have success because people come? And there's not necessarily...
If you build it, they will come, yeah.
Right. There's not necessarily
Something
a
like
right
that,
answer.
yeah.
I understand the team has a responsibility to show the fans, hey, this is worth your time. And I don't disagree with that. I also would say that...
The announcers actually said that early on. They said...
Yeah.
I don't think they were necessarily pointing to the early on, lack of crowd, but they did say like, hey, these fans, they're from the Show Me State, and they're expecting to see something here. So
yeah, and
again,
I hate that
I don't
motto.
live in mid-mo, so I'm not like there, and I can't add +1 to the like fan base.
Right.
But I'm just kind of seeing some of the pregame stuff and what like Virginia Tech, who's about to was going to fire their coach before winning, and so yeah, I'm not saying like, oh, the pregame atmosphere has to be like better, and then everybody will come, but just kind of just a little bit of like where like obviously winning helps, but there's got to be some sort of like culture and some sort of sustained and excitement about getting there. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, I think a lot of these places they have that atmosphere because they've had that for decades. South Carolina fans go to games because they always went to games. Their mom went to games.
Yeah, that's a good example.
Their dad went to games. Their grandparents went to games. And South Carolina is not a better football program than Missouri. In fact, it's worse in almost any measurable way. But game day there is something. And is it – I mean, it's not like South Carolina just creates this experience and it would be cool if there were 30,000 people there. It's cool in large part because there are 70,000 people waving the towels and all that. But they've always done it, and that's what they do. Virginia Tech, it probably wasn't always that way, but once Frank Beamer got them, good, I mean, it's been that way for a while. Lane Stadium at night is not a fun place to be, and that is not a thing that exists around the state of Missouri. And I don't know, barring just years and years of winning, you can't just create it. So far this staff has done everything it can do to prove to people, hey, we want you to come out. Now the next step is, yes, they have to win football games. It doesn't have to be 9 of them this year, but they have to show some progress. And if they show some progress, then more people need to come next year. And then if they show more progress, more people have to come the year after that. And if they don't do it, the rest of it isn't going to matter, because the team has its responsibility, and the fans are going to have to be part of it if Missouri wants to be a legitimate competitor in this league. I mean, it's a two-way street, and one can't happen if the other doesn't happen.
Yeah, it is semi-unfortunate that the camera does face east, but I will say, watching from home, like it didn't really look that horrible. Like
no, it got a lot better as the game went on.
Yeah, there's gonna be no UCLA memes of screenshots from this and be like, oh, Missouri didn't turn out, and credit to ESPN and the crew, their clips of the hill and certain fans here and there. I think they did a good job of of focusing on the fans that were there. It just seems to be kind of a thing on PM, just kind of all the time, and it's just kind of encourage everybody to show up, and And, you know, we're the hardcore guys, so we're, like, going when we're in town. I'm going to go to 2 games this year, even though I'm out of Denver. But, like, but, yeah, like, it's the PM crowd is not the people that we need to encourage to get there. It's everybody else, which is athletic director not problem, but a directive.
Agreed.
So yeah.
Well, hey man, Dave, I appreciate the call. I got a lot of people lined up here, so I got to let you go. And if you're one of the 4 people I have on hold, just hang in with me, and we're gonna start at the 954 area code. You got me?
Yeah.
Who am I talking to?
Talking to James.
What's up, James? How you doing, man?
I appreciate you, man. First of all, I do. I really appreciate you having this after game talk. It's cool. Just 3 quick observations and a question.
Yep.
One of them is we are a much better defense when JC is in the game. There's a big difference in how we played.
I agree.
From the first half to the second, and I understand we made some adjustments and everything, but at the same time, JC is he's a Sunday player for me, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Second of which, my second observation is I know it hasn't been talked, and maybe it's taboo to say, but we missed Trey Williams tonight in the football game. Just my opinion. I know he's off to Barry Odom land in Arkansas, but we missed him today. And it was a shame that we missed him because we really did need him on the line. Third observation, it's very, very evident that we need to stack a lot of great recruiting classes back to back, and we have that opportunity.
Yeah.
So my only question is really has there been any reaction from recruits or anything along those lines that was at the game today? And then with that, I'll shut up and hang up.
All right, appreciate it, James. We haven't talked to the recruits yet. We will do that. We'll try over the next 24 hours or so to check in with those guys and see what they've got to say. But that's exactly the point we've been trying to make in the last few years, which is that.
My only question is.
Hey, I got somebody that's got to turn their volume down that's in the call right now because I can hear an echo of myself. So whoever I just added.
I'll shut up. Sorry, I appreciate it.
Whoever I just added from the 72 area code, I need you to turn your computer down. Anyway, no, James is right. It's the recruiting class that Eli had last year. It's very good. It's the best in school history. And you need 3 more of them in a row because it was still 8th in the league or 7th in the league. And that's still, you've got to do this year after year after year to compete in this league. It can't be the exception, and it doesn't look like it's the exception, but this year's the second one. So now he's got half a roster that's good enough and maybe a couple other players. So then next year he'll have 3/4 of a roster that's good enough, which is why I've been saying next year is the year you can start to hope to see a little bit more progress, but 2023 is the year I'm targeting and saying, okay, now if you can continue to stack these classes, you're legitimately in that conversation. I want to jump next. I got a lot of guys on hold. I'm going to try to get to all of you as soon as I can. 636 area code. You there with me?
Hey, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Who am I talking to?
Yeah, Gabe. This is Josh from St. Louis.
Hey, Josh. How you doing, man?
Pretty good, Gabe, and also glad you're doing these. I'll be quick since I know a lot of people want to get their words in tonight, but I did want to say I know there's going to be overreactions from this game, as expected, but I want to say that I think fans should still be relaxed because while it was a less than ideal performance, you saw a lot of good things from tonight. A team that struggled to get pressure on the QB in the past with 9 sacks today, 3.5 of which coming from new linebacker Blaze Aldridge, and really, let's not forget that this team was 0-2 after losing to Tennessee last year, and everyone thought, oh my God, this team's going to go winless in the SEC. They ended up turning things around. It's real early in the year, and really, if you look around the rest of the SEC today, Arkansas was really rocky against Rice at the beginning of their game today. They ended up winning about 38-17, comparable final score to today's Mizzou game. And I know these games are a little bit different situations than Mizzou. You look at Mississippi State, that was a dogfight against LA Tech. So, I mean, and another thing you got to take into account is a lot of these newcomers or people that have been in the program only since as long as Drink has been here too. All they know of is that last year, that COVID year. There is going to be an adjustment, as crazy as it sounds, to having a non-COVID year now. Guys are seeing these other teams that have had full off seasons now, and I'm sure there's a lot of stuff we don't see behind the scenes that's different for these guys, and it's going to be an adjustment period.
Yeah, all good points. And, I mean, look, I've said this for years. We're a video game society that thinks if you don't score on every possession and keep the other team from scoring on every possession, it's not good enough. Missouri won a game,
right,
and it wasn't that big of a concern in the last 7 minutes. Was it perfect? Like you said, no, it wasn't perfect, but it was good enough. And they're 21-year-old kids. How they played today has almost no impact on how they'll play in Lexington, Kentucky. And how Kentucky played today has almost no impact on how Kentucky will play next Saturday. So, they're going to be about a 7-point underdog, and they'll go take their chances. But I agree with you. I mean, I didn't see anything to change my mind today on what I thought coming in, and I didn't really see all that much to be super upset about.
Yeah, I agree, Gabe. Just wanted to get my thoughts in. I got nothing else for you. I'll let everyone else say what they want to say tonight, and thanks again for having the show.
Appreciate it, Josh. Thanks for taking part, man. We're going to go now, and I've got 2 from the 314 area code, so I don't want to read anybody's complete phone number. If your phone number ends in 864, go ahead, man. Are you there?
Hey, Gabe. Thanks for taking my call. I really love what you do. Power subscriber here.
Appreciate it, man. What's your name?
I had one question and then also just kind of one comment. I mean, what were your initial impressions from seeing the Steve Wilkes defense? Obviously, there were some changes. It looked like there were some decent chunk yard plays given up, but then there were more turnovers. So it kind of looked like a little bit more of a volatile defense right there. And then what are just your initial impressions? Obviously, week 1, you're just happy to get out with a win. There was a lot of close games. Just what were your initial impressions overall on the game so far?
Defensively, I thought they were aggressive. They came after the quarterback, especially in the second half. And what I've heard about this team, and I think this is an internal expectation, defensively, by mid-season, I think they think they're going to be pretty good. But I think there's going to be some bumps early on. Ishburdine didn't play a ton last year. The 2 Tulsa kids and Blaze Aldridge have never played on this level. Jalen Carlise has never really, he played some last year, but has never really played on this level. Even Jelani Williams, Sean Robinson, those guys haven't played a ton. Chris Abrams-Drain hasn't really played much. Chris Sheeran opted out last year. So you got a whole bunch of guys that honestly haven't played that much at this level, learning a new scheme. So I think the defense you see, like when Texas A&M comes to town, could be significantly different than the defense we're going to see these first 3 or 4 games. And so, there were moments today where you saw some really good things, and then there were moments where you said, oh, man, they're going to have to score 55 points to win, right? So up and down, but I'd say that for both sides of the football. But I think it's a process. It's a 12-game season, and anybody that attempts to make any judgments after week 1 other than, oh, my God, Alabama's really good again, is going to end up probably looking a little silly by the end of the season.
Understood. I appreciate you doing this, Gabe.
All right, appreciate you, man. Thanks for the call, and we're going to stay in the 314 area code. I got another caller from the 314. You still there with me? 314, you there? All right, I think I've lost that one. 720 area code. You still with me?
Yes, I am.
All right, who am I talking with?
Hey, Gabe, how you doing? This is Dwayne calling in from Austin, Texas.
Dwayne, how you doing, man? Hey, Austin, Texas, SEC territory.
Soon to be.
Yep.
Soon to be.
So what's on your mind?
No, I just had a couple observations. I agree kind of with the what the expectations are as far as the season's concerned. I saw some things to really be encouraged about, but I also saw some things that, and you had hit on it earlier, that Coach Drink is addressing it in the recruiting. We're looking to get some linebackers who are a little bit quicker. I thought we looked just a step slow, even though Coach Wilkes did a good job of covering up some of our deficiencies by applying pressure. But as you know, it's going to be very tough to win if we have to blitz all day in order to get pressure on the quarterback. So we got to try and get some more productivity out of the linemen.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they're double teaming Trajan. So it's going to be, somebody else is going to have to step up.
Yeah.
I was really encouraged by the DBs, even though we gave up some big plays, but I saw guys locked in, being aggressive, making some good plays. Chris Abram-Drains and Carlisle, they're going to be some studs. I was really excited, about what I saw. Once again, just linebackers, Blaze had some big plays getting the sacks and tackles for loss. But, we need that consistency. And they're either over pursuing or getting hung up on blocks. So I'm excited, but at the same time, I understand, like you said, a couple more recruiting classes. Coach Drink is bringing in some talent, and bringing in bigger, faster linebackers is going to be key. Getting some down linemen that have some speed and power, it's going to be nice to see. The only other comment I had, I think Connor Bazelak is cool in the pocket,
Mm-hmm.
but if we're running RPOs, he's going to have to take off sometimes.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I talked to him before the season about that, and I said, is that in the game plan a little bit more this year? Because how much of that had to do with your knee? And he said, I don't know that there'll be any more designed runs, but I think I'll be more confident and comfortable taking off when I need to, because he was wearing a brace last year and all that. And the one question I have is the question that they talked a lot about on the broadcast, that Eli Drinkwitz has talked a lot about offseason, and that's the deep ball. The one to Boo Smith from the first play of the game, I mean, it looked good, but Boo Smith was open by 7 yards, right? He missed Boo Smith on another one in the end zone. He missed Dominic Lovett twice. They weren't bad throws, but they weren't perfect. They didn't get caught. So is the deep ball accuracy there when the guy is not all by himself? And if it's not there, do they have guys that can go up and win those one-on-one battles that I think is something they've missed in the past? Basically, if you've got to go, 15 plays and 70 yards on every drive, you need some of those big explosive plays to kind of make things a little bit easier on your offense. And Missouri got some of them today. A couple from Beatty, the big one to Boo Smith to start the game. But I don't think anything today was answered really either positively or negatively. And I agree with the points you're making. And the defensive line especially, you mentioned Jeff Coat getting a lot of attention. That's why I think a guy like Isaiah McGuire could be a huge key to the season. You got to find somebody on the other side. And I think if somebody's going to pop open, I think maybe Isaiah McGuire is the best candidate.
Well, I saw a little get up and go from Wingo, so
Yep.
I was excited to see that. I think he's going to be a big factor in getting some penetration, because it looks like he was quick off the ball, and that was really good to see.
And he was the guy that almost recovered the fumble that I think it was Jeff Coat caused. And, look, if you're playing at defensive tackle as a true freshman in this league, it means one of two things. It either means your coaches think you are a hell of a player, or you've got absolutely nobody in front of you. And Missouri has some guys at defensive tackle, so I think it's more likely that Missouri thinks this kid has a chance to be really, really good.
Yeah, he looks like he's got a lot of dog in him.
Yep. I like that phrase. I don't know if it would sound as cool coming from me, but I like that phrase.
Well, I don't want to take up all your time, but I appreciate you taking my call.
All right,
and I definitely will be calling in.
All right, sounds good, man. Thanks for the call, buddy. Thanks for being part of the show. So,
thank you.
Hey, I'm pretty happy, to be quite honest with you guys, that the technology's working here. We had 6 dudes on hold at once there, and it all pretty much worked. So, hey, big ups to Power Mizzou Show. Way to go. Appreciate Dwayne calling in. Appreciate everybody who has called in. And like I said, we're going to go till, I mean, if there's calls, we'll keep taking them. I know there are a lot of comments over here in the comment section. Yeah, Case says you're still live. I mean, we've only gone an hour and 6 minutes, guys. Like, hey, we had a couple last year that were 2.5 hours. I do want to point out the Boulevard post-game drink has gone dry on this end. It's just water in the cup today. And likely going to be water all season, but we will be here, man, and feel free. Love to hang out with you guys on your way home from the game, whatever it is. Mitchell and Joel are going to have your coverage over on the site. I'm sure post game is over by now. Interviews, I'm sure they're writing, and we'll have plenty for you guys to consume while we're finishing this show up. And I'm writing. I'm not sure how to feel about hot shoulders telling me I look nice, but I appreciate that, man. That is that is very kind of you. So I feel like we're getting into the weird part of the Power Mizzou show here, but hey, that's part of it, man. This is one of the things, honestly, that like we did this last year as a necessity because we couldn't cover the game, so we were trying to find a different way to do things for you guys during COVID. And this is part of what we came up with, and I always got to shout out my buddies Neil McCready and Jay Tate who started doing this before me and talked me into doing it. And this is one of the things we kept, these live streaming shows, especially the post-game show. It's just a way to interact with you guys, a way to kind of bring different coverage that not a lot of people are doing. And so I'm hopeful that it'll be successful this year. And, it was pretty successful last year when none of you guys could go to the game. Now, it may be a little bit different. Maybe some of the people that were hanging out with us last year are hanging out in the parking lot, opening their second 12-pack right now. But definitely hope this still manages to get plenty of interaction and calls and comments and all that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to roll through, go back to the beginning of the comments, and I'm going to just throw up and see if there is any questions. Well, I lied. I'm actually going to jump back to the phone line real quick, and I'm going to go to the 212 area code. Who am I talking to?
Hey, this is Mike in New York.
Hey, Mike, what's going on, man? Where are you at in New York?
Upper West Side.
Okay. So like New York City?
Manhattan, yep.
Okay, cool. Well, good to hear from you, man. What's going on?
This is more of a big picture question.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like everyone is just so excited about Coach Drink and his personality. What is it specifically about him that just like really makes everyone excited? It seems like he's like electric. Yeah. What makes everyone so excited to be around him, and recruits and just administrators? It just seems like everyone's wild about him. And like, just from your perspective, what is it specifically about him that makes him special? Okay,
I want to say, first of all, I think he understands how to play the game. He understands PR. He's good at social media, right? And that's a big deal with fans. And I don't mean that to sound like a negative thing, because it makes it sound like it's shallow, right? Like this is just kind of a game and a character he plays. And I really don't think it is. But I always said, I thought Barry Odom's biggest downfall, honestly, was, like, I knew Barry better. I knew him a little bit outside of football, and he was capable of being a funny guy. But once the cameras turned on, he showed zero personality. He didn't want to do interviews. He didn't have any interest in social media. He wasn't into things like putting the videos of kids getting scholarships out. And that's all very important. And Eli Drinkwitz gets all of that. He's really, really good at that part of it. Because if you look at it, and I understand the recruiting has been different. So the recruiting is part of this. But Barry Odom was 26-26 in 4 years. And Eli Drinkwitz was 5-5 in 1 year. Those are both theoretically 500 coaches. And one, Missouri fans couldn't wait to get rid of. And one, legitimately Missouri fans are saying he should get an extension over the 6 years and $4 million a year he has remaining. Now, that's insanity. But my point is, the main reason is because he knows how to market himself. He has some salesman in him. He knows how to market his program. And I don't mean that as an insult. I think sometimes you say the guy has some salesman in him, and that's taken as a negative. No, you have to have that. And I think what it does is it buys you a little bit more time. I mean, Missouri was pretty close to being a 3-7 football team last year, but man, nobody would ever know it because he did make it exciting. He had a signature win, and he's very, very good at PR. Now, I think with recruits, I think you have to be a little bit more than that. With recruits and players, they see you all the time, so it's not just going to be like, hey, he's good at Twitter, so I like him. I think the guy has two things going for him. He's very, very confident, and he knows who he is, right? He leans into this idea like, I'm kind of a dorky white dude that never played football that now makes $4 million a year coaching college football. I mean, he's got no issue with it. He leans into who he is. It's kind of like, look, I've always said, I meet people and they're like, wow, I thought you would be taller. I'm like, well, this is how tall I've been my whole life. I mean, make a short joke, but like I know it exists. Eli knows who he is, and he's not shying away from it. And I think that comes across very well. And he's got some energy. He'll crack a joke. He's got a quick wit. He's a guy that you enjoy having a conversation with.
Yeah, it seems like he's definitely won everything off the field. Like everyone is completely on board with him. I mean, you're exactly right. Everyone wants him to get an extension. It's just now a question of translating it into, on the field success.
100%. And he knows that. I mean, and everybody,
Right.
Again, the PR will buy you. It will buy you an extra year. If he's 500 through 4 years like Barry Odom was, he's going to get one more year because he's good at that part of it. But, there has to be a leap. I don't think that leap has to happen this year. I think it has to be progress this year. And the leap in year 3 or 4 would be ideal, I think. But no, everybody is on board and, almost hyperbolically, like a little too on board, if that makes sense, right? I mean, I think it's more my job to say, like, yo, guys, no lifetime contracts. The dude's 5-5. Let's, like, he's done a good job, but no lifetime contracts quite yet.
Yeah. All right. Well, great. Thank you very much.
All right, Mike. I appreciate you being part of the show, man. Thanks for calling in, and don't be a stranger the rest of the season. Certainly welcome first-time callers, long-time callers, whatever. A lot of the participants here are people that were with us during the show last year. A lot of the people, though, are new people, too, and so we appreciate that. Just kind of want to reset. Look, if you've managed to find this show, you probably know, but Tyler Beatty, big day. Again, I was saying on the pregame show, I didn't know if Beatty could handle or would receive a big workload, and I thought Elijah Young might end up leading the team in carries. Actually thought Elijah Young looked pretty good, including a 32-yard touchdown, but he was not Tyler Beatty, who had 227 all-purpose yards on, let me look at the numbers, 28 touches, which is 6 more than Larry Roundtree averaged last season. Tyler Beatty ran 25 times for 197 yards, and my math is actually off. He had 3 catches for 40 yards, so it is not 227 all-purpose yards. It's 237 all-purpose yards. Blaze Aldridge debut, 6 tackles for loss, which I don't know if that's a Missouri record, but I'm not sure it isn't. 3.5 sacks. Mizzou, I believe it was 8 sacks as a team. I think Mekhi Wingo picked one up late, and that gave Missouri 9 sacks. Bazelak, 257, 2 touchdowns. Other individual standouts, I thought, Caleb Evans had an interception and just generally played a really good game. Trajan Jeffcoat had a sack, made his presence certainly known. Mekhi Wingo looked good. J.C. Carlise had a really good second half. Martez Manuel, I thought was a lot of places. Maybe not his best game, but I thought a lot of places. And see if I can find defensive stats, I would let you guys know exactly what he did. All right, defensively, Martez Manuel, 5 tackles, half a tackle for a loss, a quarterback hurry. So, it was decent. Caleb Evans had 2 pass breakups. Chris Abrams-Drain. I should have mentioned Chris Abrams-Drain earlier in the standouts. I thought he was phenomenal. 4 tackles, 2 pass breakups. The sacks were Aldridge 3.5, Nicholson 1, Sean Robinson 1 on a beautifully timed blitz, Isaiah McGuire 1, Trajan Jeffcoat 1, Mekhi Wingo 1, Realist George 1, and then Kobe Whiteside and Akil Byers split 1. So those were the defensive stats for you. Solid game from Bazelak. Not maybe spectacular, but probably a little room for improvement, but never really put the ball in harm's way. Managed the game, kept Missouri at arm's length. I didn't personally feel like there was a time in the fourth quarter that Missouri was really in danger of losing that game. I don't know if other people did, but I never really was too nervous about it. So let's roll through real quick some of your guys' questions and comments that maybe we've missed. Breakfast King said a little underwhelming, but the first game, Josh, not ideal, but not bad things to like this week. Striker Lynn says Beatty the only reason they aren't 0-1. That might be a little strong, but he's certainly the biggest reason they were 0-1. Case, I don't know, maybe Barry Odom loses that game. I'm not sure. David Dowell says next week will tell us a lot more than today. No question, man. Kentucky's going to be a test. They're a good, solid team. Missouri goes and wins that game. I'm going to tell you that I think they're ahead of schedule because I picked them to lose that game in the preseason. I'm going to pick them to lose that game this week. I'll tell you, I probably pick Kentucky to win that game by 7 to 10 points. That's what I expect to happen. But that game's definitely going to tell us a lot. We're going to go back to the phones. We got 309 area code. Who am I talking to in the 309?
Hello. How are you guys doing?
Not bad. How are you? Who am I talking with?
Dick Wiley. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing all right, man. How about you?
I'm doing great.
I'm glad to hear it. What do you want to talk about?
Is this the Mazodcast?
It is not the Mazodcast, man. I think that's somewhere else.
Oh man, what is this then?
This is the Power Mizzou postgame show.
Oh, well, if I could say one thing,
sure.
I would like to say that I would like to see Mizzou do a lot better than this week than Mizzou did.
Yeah. Not good enough, you don't think?
I don't think they were good enough. I think we have a lot better than us. I think Coach Strink could coach a game a lot better than this game, but I think we have a lot of room for growth, but I believe in this team.
Okay. Yeah, next week will be a big test, man.
It will be. I believe in it.
All right. Well, Dick, we will pass along your belief, man.
I will. All right. Have a good night.
All right, buddy. Have a good one. I think Dick is well on his way to having a good night. I don't know where the 309 area code is, but Dick Wiley's he's going to have himself a good evening, man. Probably already is, to be quite honest. So, yeah. Garrett Dollins, is Central Michigan good? Maybe. I think they're decent. I think they're what I thought they were. They're a solid team that on the right day can beat Missouri. They're not a pushover, but they're not great, I think. Travis, 5 wins and no bowl game would be rough. I agree that would be rough. Okay. Sin to criticize Drink here, but he has to stop using Mookie as a screener and jet sweeper and use him as an actual pass catcher. Maybe so. Look, Mookie Cooper, I thought, struggled a little bit today. And he hasn't practiced much, right? They're probably learning still kind of how to use him. He had 3 carries for 0 yards, and he had 4 catches for 12. So he had 7 total touches for 12 yards. Obviously not ideal. They're probably figuring out a little bit about how to use him and what to do with him. So... And that was his first football game in 3 years. So let's see as it goes along, certainly, what changes. All right, we got the 940 area code. Who's on the phone?
This is Ed from Denton, Texas.
What's up, Ed? How you doing, man?
Hey, good. Just 2 things. I just got on. I've been listening to the Missouri wrap-up show and everything. 2 points. Carlisle played really, really well in the second half.
Yep.
And he wasn't out there the first half. I think they hurt him. I think that hurt the defense. And the other thing is, I think they're a little bit vanilla. He wasn't under center very much. I think they didn't want to show too much waiting for Kentucky. So those are my 2 comments.
Totally agree with the first point. I don't really agree with the second point. I don't think Missouri's good enough to say, hey, let's go basic and win the game. I think especially with the new guys, I mean, there was a flea flicker in there. There were a lot of jet sweeps. They were throwing the ball deep. I think we hear this after every first game of the year. I think a lot of people, optimistically say, well, I don't think we did everything we're going to do. And, of course, they didn't do everything they're going to do. But I think that's the basic identity of the team you're going to see. I don't think they're holding – they're holding a couple plays back, but I don't think they're holding, like, a whole packages back or anything.
There was one time they were down there, and they just needed a yard for – I forget what it was, a first down or a touchdown or something like that.
They threw the ball.
And they didn't have a heavy package yet.
Yeah, no,
so
they
I thought that was a surprise.
Yeah, they threw the ball on 4th and 1, tried to get Kiki Chisholm and didn't get him. So that's the kind of play where if it works, everybody goes, "Oh, that's so smart going against tendencies." And if it doesn't work, everybody says, "What the hell are you doing?" Right? So.
Well, I just think against Kentucky, they might still throw the ball, but they would have a heavy look, with big people in the backfield.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll come up with a couple wrinkles for that game. Yep. Well, Ed, appreciate the call, man.
A win is a win, especially a 10-point win.
Absolutely. Good to complain after a win, for sure.
And one thing that's always hurt us, not always, but has frequently hurt us, has been the special teams, and it was really, really good. The kicker and the punter, and you couldn't ask for anything more. So
yeah, and they caught all the punts, so that's a positive development. Very big improvement from last year. So Ed, I appreciate it, man. I got another call, but thanks for being part of the show.
Take care, Gabe. Thanks.
All right, have a good one. All right, we got the 573 area code. Who am I talking to there?
Hey, Gabe, this is Michael.
What's up, Michael? How you doing, man?
Good. Driving from the game. Watching it live, it seemed like the linebackers were getting caught up in the swamp and all the mess from the other line. And it was Kentucky's, really scaring me more and more, especially if they do that run game. And they have such an amazing offensive line. And man, those linebackers, if Blaze was not blitzing, if his hair's on fire and he can go and tack, he does amazing. But man, the linebackers just kept on getting swamped and looked like the D-line was not having their head up and when they're in the gaps looking for the ball. But great game. It was good to see fundamentally good football and not crazy mistakes for once on the home opener. So that was good to see.
Yeah, the opposing team had 10 penalties and 2 turnovers. Missouri won both those battles. The linebackers, a few people have made that point, and so enough people have said it that I trust you guys are probably right. What I've said is I'm trying to do enough things during the game that I have a hard time focusing on like a specific position that's off the ball a lot of the time. So I don't want to like unfairly criticize linebacker play when I'm not sure, but enough people have made that observation that I think it's probably fair at this point. And look, linebacker was a concern of mine coming in. It's a concern of mine coming out of this game, and Kentucky. I think a lot of. I think most Missouri fans have viewed that as a toss-up game all along. I think maybe today made a few more people realize, oh, hey, that's kind of a game we better take a little bit seriously next week.
Yeah. One more thing. What's your thought on the offensive line in the running game? It seemed like they kind of Eli didn't have much trust in the running game, especially when it was 4th and 2 or 3 and 2 and decided to throw. But other than that, good game and MIZ.
Yeah, appreciate the call, Michael. And I think, you're right. Look, throwing the ball on 4th and 1 against Central Michigan says you don't have a lot of trust in your offensive line, and it's what we were talking about earlier. Yeah, they have guys, but do they have guys? I think they have more guys, and I think Tyler Beatty kind of hid some of the potential issues in that line as well. Let's go 314 area code. Who am I talking to?
Yeah, it's Peyton from 314. How you doing?
Not bad. What's up, Peyton? How you doing, man?
Good. Just wanted to discuss with you the receivers. So with early in the game, they took some deep shots to Dominic Lovett.
Yep.
What happened? He left the game, or did they not use him anymore? Maybe they thought he was not going to catch the ball, or.
Yeah, I'll have to check the snap counts. I know they took 2 deep shots to him, and he was definitely open on one of them, and Bazelak kind of missed him. The other one, he wasn't super open, but they came close and didn't make the connection. He kind of got a hand on it. I'll have to see. I don't know how much he was in the second half. He he didn't catch a pass. So because he didn't catch a pass, I can't tell you how many times they targeted him. I'm going to assume just those 2. So, yeah, I'll have to look at the snap counts in the morning to know for sure if he was on the field much in the second half. He's probably right now a little bit more of a situational guy. I mean, he's definitely going to play and he's going to get targeted, but maybe not a guy that's going to be out there for 40 snaps a game like, say, Towski Dove or Kiki Chisholm's going to be at this point.
Yeah, I get that. I just think that they need an explosive receiver on the outside if they're going to have any real success with the downfield, game this year. And with Lovett, I feel like he gives you that aspect. If Mookie Cooper can kind of get going and they can, I don't know if he was injured a little bit today and probably just had a little bit of a rust, but
I think Booth Smith and Chance Looper can give him that too. Booth Smith went 70 yards on the first play from scrimmage, and I really like Chance Looper. I think he's a kid that's going to have a good year.
Yeah. Well, thanks, kid.
All right, thanks a lot for the call, man. Really appreciate it. And now we got the 573 area code on the line. You still with us?
I think so.
Yeah. Who am I talking to, man?
It's Tyler.
Hey, Tyler, how you doing? What's going on?
A couple of observations, I guess, and one question. So, I felt like the defensive or offensive line was kind of struggling most of the game, and I thought that could be a concern. But the defensive back play throughout the game, some folks think it may be a concern, but I thought they played very well.
Yeah.
Throughout, we get very much pressure early, and what your thoughts on that was? Whether the coaching staff maybe trying to play out maybe personnel, and maybe there'll be some changes from this week to next week from personnel's part on that, because I thought they played pretty well.
I agree.
Other than offensive line, I thought it struggled, but other than that, I thought they played pretty well overall.
Yeah, especially the defensive backfield. I thought Ennis Rakestraw had a rough first half. But I thought they got a lot better when Jalen Carlise came in the second half. But Chris Abrams-Drain, very impressive. He earned the start next week. I thought Caleb Evans earned a start next week. Whether you want to start Rakestraw or Burdine on the other side, whatever, that's up to the coaches. But they had played 6 corners in like the first 3 drives of the game. They trotted a lot of guys out there, man. They really took a look at a lot of dudes. Makai Wingo and Realus George got some pretty good run at defensive tackle. Johnny Walker was in at defensive end toward the end, made a tackle for a loss, I think. So they played a lot of guys tonight, and that is, I think, that is in part so that next week they have a little better idea of separation. Okay, we've seen these guys in a real game. Here's who stepped up. Here's who we like best. So that guy's going to get more snaps next week. The rotation's going to look different. Some of the guys that were out there this week are going to be out there less next week because Kentucky is, and that's where I think the difference is between Central Michigan and Kentucky. But I thought the secondary played well overall. I mean, they gave up 295 yards, but I mean, Central Michigan quarterbacks threw 47 passes. The passer rating was like 102, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, 24 for 47 for 301. That's not bad. That's an average of about 6 yards an attempt.
He's the number 3 recruit a year. So
yeah. Jacob Sermon, he was once very highly thought of. Obviously, hadn't quite worked out that way, but yeah, he's not bad. And then heck, the backup came in and threw a beautiful pass back in the corner of the end zone on his only throw of the game. His quarterback rating was 480. So
he may be better than a lot of quarterbacks we face this year. So
could be. Yeah, but no, I agree with you, Tyler. Overall, more positives than negatives out of this one.
Correct. Yeah.
Yep. Well, appreciate you being part of it, man.
Thanks.
All right, have a good night. Tyler joining us on the phone, and appreciate everybody who has done so. Appreciate all you guys who are here watching along, whether you've called in, commented, or you're just kind of hanging out with us. Hit the like button while you're here. Hit the subscribe button to the channel. And again, I know there are a ton of comments that we maybe have not gotten to. But hey, that's part of the deal. We always focus on the phone lines and all that. So yeah, Spencer kind of making the same point I was making. 295 on 47 attempts, 2 TDs, all that not bad. Let's see. Yeah, Stuart, the old saying is your team makes its most improvement between the first and second games. Maybe. Missouri certainly would like that to be true. I think they'll need it to be true. Next week's going to be a test, man. Kentucky's a solid team. I don't think there's any question about it. I think next week is going to be a dogfight between two teams that I think Kentucky probably has a little bit of a talent edge over Missouri. Certainly a more talented team than Central Michigan. But, hey, go down and take your shot. And that is the first game that can kind of swing the outlook of the season. Because, again, I think Missouri's going to be about a touchdown underdog in that game. Kentucky won big today against a bad team. Missouri won. I don't even want to call this a close game. It was like it wasn't a walk, but it wasn't a close game. There was not much doubt with 5 minutes left who was going to win this game. Can we talk, by the way, real quick? Maybe you guys disagree, but Central Michigan got the field goal to make it 31-24 with 2:40 left, and then they kicked deep. Like, what are you doing? Onside kick. If Missouri gets it and they're already in field goal range, who cares? I don't understand why. I don't understand. I thought Central Michigan gave up any chance it had to win the game when he kicked the ball deep. And then the very first play, Tyler Beatty goes 60 yards, and they're in better field position than they would have been anyway. So I know we tend to focus a lot on the mistakes, the strategic and coaching mistakes that the team we follow makes. But sometimes the other team, you're going, hang on, man, what are you doing? And that really, I'd forgotten about it till just now, but that really stuck out to me. That was a 31-24 game with about 2.5 minutes left, and it wasn't a good chance, but Central Michigan, if you onside kick the ball and get it there, you got a chance to win. And they just said, "Now we're good, man. We covered. We'll just kick it deep and let Tyler Beatty go for 60." So I didn't love that decision on the part of whoever the Central Michigan interim head coach was. Breakfast King of Loyola certainly agrees with me. So appreciate that, man. Glad to have you here. And yeah, Spencer says they missed Jim McElwain at the end of the game. And yeah, good. I'm glad to see you guys all agree, because I had forgotten about that, but it really stuck out to me at the end of the game. I don't think Eli Drinkwitz kicks that ball away, and I don't think Jim McElwain kicks that ball away. So appreciate all you guys being here, man. The viewership was great throughout. The participation, the calls were all great. We had a little fun along the way, hopefully. Hopefully you guys learned something, maybe not, whatever. Hopefully you just maybe had a beer and enjoyed listening to the show. Made your drive home go faster, made your evening go faster. So Mitchell and Joel Lorenzi are, I'm sure, hard at work doing stuff on the site. I've got a couple things to write after this, so I'm going to go take care of that. And who knows, I might even catch a few minutes of Clemson, Georgia. So appreciate you guys being here. Tomorrow is our only day where we're not streaming on the YouTube channel. We take Sundays off. We'll be back Monday with the weekend recap. Mitchell and I will break this down. Monday through Friday, we got shows. We'll have 2 again next Saturday. I think Mizzou's a night game in Lexington, so we'll start a little bit later. The night shows sometimes get weird, man. But appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Thanks so much for watching. One more shout-out to the Boulevard Brewing Company. Want to ask, David asked about the press conference. So last year we started with the press conference. We started this show with the press conference on video. We can't do that this year because it's not on Zoom. So I don't have video. I'm at my house. I was not at the press conference. Mitch and Joel were, and they're going to have a lot of the quotes and post-game stuff for you. But last year, the post-game press conference was on Zoom. Now, it still will be on Zoom on road games. So on road games, I may very well hop on that, record that, play that for you guys here on the post-game show. But on home games, no press conference. And that's the reason why. So, so appreciate all your guys' comments, all you guys being here and being a part of this. And once again, thanks to Boulevard Brewing Company for sponsoring it. I want to encourage you, For the tailgates in the future, hey, swing by, whether it's Macadoodles, whether it's Hy-Vee, whether it's Schnucks, whatever. We encourage Macadoodles because they also help us out and sponsor us. But maybe you go to the Brewing Hall in Kansas City before you leave town. Whatever you do, man, pick up some Boulevard for your tailgate next Saturday. And, hey, pick up some Boulevard just any day of the week. They got plenty of beers. They got the new Quark seltzers out, so I want you to try those. They have the Fling cocktails, which we had some of last year, so encourage you to try those. Whatever you do, man, help out Boulevard. They're a good friend to us. Thanks to all of you guys for watching, and we will be back next week, but also we'll be back all week long. So appreciate you guys joining us, and we will catch up to you later on.